Thank you. Thanks very much for the lovely introduction, and it's great to be here with you all today. So I'm going to invite our panel members up. So Anna Folt, please join us. Anna is the Global Head in UN Women of the WEPs. So we're looking forward to hearing from you today, Anna. And then we have Miss Josine, who is the Managing Partner of PwC. Welcome. Great to have you here too. Then we have Ma Rodora Campos, otherwise known as IE, from Infosys in Manila and also in Malaysia, so Philippines and Malaysia. Welcome. We have Ria C, who is one of the co-founders of She Loves Tech. And lastly, we have Nusra Chankiao, who is a global, you have the longest title ever, Global Strategic Sourcing Director and Supplier Diversity and People Thrive Lead in Mars. Not the planet, but the company. Okay, so take a seat. So our job today is really to, you can leave that with Anna, is really to take the discussion further than yesterday. So yesterday we did a lot of conversations around the workplace and what can be done in different organisations to improve gender equality. And today we're kind of going to be looking a bit further than that and sort of what does the future hold? What are the new trends on the horizon beyond the WEPs? They probably link to the WEPs, but they also may be beyond the WEPs that we need to keep in mind to make sure that we leverage the most outcomes for women and girls across the world in economic development and the private sector. So it's to create an understanding of these trends and also to shine a light on the challenges and opportunities for women in these new areas of work. And lastly, really to go beyond firms to look at markets and how to open up markets for women as well. So it's a broad topic. I know we're also going to be looking at some of the challenges in the tech industry, and I'm really looking forward to that. It's such a the digitization, the digital world is really being called the third industrial revolution because it is really totally transforming all of us and how we operate. So unless we make sure that women are a part of that equation, we will get left behind further. So it's really important to close those gaps as well. So Anna, I'm going to start with you, and we'd really love to hear your views on some of the global trends that we'll then further discuss. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Sorry, before we start, I'll be keeping you all to track, so 5 minutes each. And I'm sorry if I have to interrupt you. I'm sure I won't. But over to you, Anna.
Thank you so much, and welcome everyone. I'm so excited. It took me 3 days to get here. So I missed yesterday, so apologies for that. But I'm so glad to see so many of our web signatories in the audience, so it's fantastic to be here. I will try to stick to the time. But I wanted to say that we live in a more complex and more volatile time than ever. And that makes it very difficult to predict what's going to happen. But what I wanted to mention today was some trends that we know for certain that is in front of us. And we can see that we have an increasing number of web signatories joining us because they feel these trends and they feel that there's something that they need to be doing and come to us to see and to this community to learn from you, what you're already doing, and how they can kind of jump on this train that is driving diversity. So I'm going to focus on 5 different levels of diversity. The first one is diversity of markets. And we know that the middle class is growing. By 2025, the middle class will be 3.2 billion people, up from 1.8 billion in 2009. And this is happening mainly in Asia, Africa, Latin America, and there's a big growth. What does that mean for gender equality, it means that part of this growth of this middle class are women. Women are having increasing number of jobs, earning an income, having opportunities to grow their businesses, to start businesses. So this is good. But we, as you probably know from the Sustainable Development Goals, no one left behind is very important when we think about this. That we look at supply chains and make sure that those supply chains are helping those that are living in extreme poverty. There's a lot of women, and a majority of those living in extreme poverty are women. The second one is diversity of customers, and it's kind of linked to what I was just talking about. But by 2028, women are expected to own 75% of discretionary spend. What does that mean? When the customer demographics and attitudes are changing, when women are earning a living, they have more to say about the purchasing, and companies cannot no longer stay away from thinking about how do we specifically target for women and what women needs and wants in the market. And empowered by technology, we'll hear more about that later, but technology is a very important point to empower women. And the more the women are connected, the more they can be empowered, but also they will have expectations of personalized goods and services. So customer-centric is becoming a very, very important part of business, and to understand who the clients and the customers are, including women. So this is good progress for women. The third one is diversity of ideas and thinking. And we have heard from Apple, for example, the most innovative companies might also be the most diverse. And we heard from Bill Gates, innovate or die. It's very dramatic, but I think the point is very clear that diversity leads to innovation, and innovation leads to business progress. And in this, we have diversity cognitively, but also demographically. And in this demographic attention to diversity, we see more attention to gender equality, to race, ethnicity, LGBTQ issues. We will hear about disabilities later. All of these are becoming very, very important intersections of this work. Diversity of talent is the fourth one. And you probably are witnessing this every day. There's a shift in the age profile, in the education, migration flows, and also expectations of this talent, that there is a quality of opportunity, there's a work-life balance, there's a lot of requirements from the new generations. Thanks to those, because that helps us advance gender equality. But it's not only about diversity, it's also about inclusion. And we know that companies that are inclusive are 3 times higher in their performance, 8 times more likely to achieve their business goals. Empathy was a word that became very, very important during the pandemic. And empathy has also stayed as a trait that leaders need to take into consideration. Empathy with their talent, empathy with their clients and other stakeholders. The last one I'd like to talk about is diversity of investors. Very briefly, and I will wrap up. This is also something that is helping us on gender equality. We see that investors are paying increasing attention to climate, to social issues, governance issues, and the ESG agenda will have a session on that this afternoon. So I won't go into too much on that, but it's something that investors are starting to drive. We see increasing number of impact investors, and they want to see what a company is doing on E, S, and G. And I can tell you the S is far, far. Sorry, that wasn't me. Or maybe it was you, Susan. It was the S. Yes, the S was making a big sound, meaning We need to pay more attention to S. So governance, of course, is very important. Environment is very important. And gender equality is across all of these three pillars, as we will talk about this afternoon. Thank you. I think I'm done. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Anna. And I think you've raised so many really important points. And actually, it's a perfect lead-in because the panelists will be talking about a number of these things specifically and your very practical ideas and good practice. So actually, Josine, on that note, I'm going to pass to you because I know that PwC has been doing a whole lot of very interesting work on diversity and inclusion beyond gender and looking at the intersections between women, LGBTQI, people with disabilities. So please tell us some of what you've been doing to harness this group of people.
Okay, thank you. I'm very glad to be here. This is my first time in Philippines and in Manila. It's a really beautiful city. And it's very good weather too. I really enjoy it because I'm from Beijing and it's pretty cold in Beijing now. It's only 10 degrees. And here, yeah, it's a kind of warm weather and a very warm atmosphere here in this meeting room. And in PwC, actually, we treated diversity and inclusion as not a pure human resources matter. Actually, we treat it as a business strategy. So we intentionally to have a different leader of the diversity other than the human head. So I'm the managing partner of the management board of PwC China. And actually, I'm also looking after the North market of China. I'm the lead partner of Beijing. But the role that I really take is really make me proud is I'm the diversity leader of PwC China. So in PwC China, our strategy for diversity is inclusion first. As well, Anna just mentioned, inclusion have an inclusive working environment. We want to develop this kind of a culture and to make everyone in PwC China they feel comfortable and they feel a difference really make value for the firm. And to ensure that all the business lines can really implement our strategy. So on each business lines, we have a diversity leaders too. So we come up a diversity council in PwC China, and we have a quarterly meeting. We monitor our data on quarterly basis. And also we set up 7 KPIs for our chairman of PwC China. On a yearly basis, I discuss with him on the 7 KPIs. So all the KPIs, we are the accounting firm, so we're really good at the quantitative KPIs. So we set up 7 quantitative KPIs, including this proportion of the female promotion, including the leaders, territory leaders, and also the promotion of the milestone like senior manager and managers in promotion, and also the people's proportion of who lead the big important accounts. So I talk with him on a yearly basis and to make sure, and also we take actions to make sure we implement it. And in addition to the gender equality, and we set up in China, we have a focus is what we call 2+1. And one is gender equality, and the other one, two is the people with a disability. We consider it is very important to give the people with a disability, the equal opportunity to join PwC and to work with us as the normal people. So we actually, in our 7 KPIs, we set a target, how many people with a disability we intention to recruit on a yearly basis. So we set a target for on a yearly basis, and also we set up 5 years target and also 10 years target. And on the yearly basis, we monitor our progress. And also this year, we also have a special internship program for the graduates with a disability. We have a special channel for them to join us as an intern, and we assign them to meet the client, to work together with our team to working on the front line, not only on the back office. Because a lot of people think people with a disability, they can only work as admin or human resources, this kind of a back office. But actually, no, we think we should give them the equal opportunity to meet our clients, to work together with our team as a normal staff. And also we developed a mentor program and to help the graduates with a disability, to help them how to go through, to help them on their resume, and also to help them how to do the interview, and to help them find their jobs in the market. So this is what we're doing on the people with a disability, and it's pretty welcome. We have the first run, kind of a pilot, and we covered about 100 people, graduates with a disability in PwC China, and including mainland China and also Hong Kong too. So we're going to do the second round. It's pretty welcome, not only welcome by the people with a disability in the society, but also pretty welcome by our own employees, because our employees, they're also inspired by these interns who are with a disability, because how they work very hard, fight very hard to find this equal opportunity to be a normal people. And so that's on the people with a disability. And on the other +1 is we also support our internal group, the people with the LGBTQ group, and what we call them shine, because we want them to shine. So we support them. We have a special holiday for them. It's a Pink Friday, and it's in November, and we have a Pink Friday to celebrate as a whole firm. We celebrate people wear pink, and to celebrate this for our LGBTQ staffs. And also this year, they have the gay game in Hong Kong. So we sponsor our staff to join the gay games. We sponsor our team to compete in the gay game. So also we have this special budget for them for the Shine group, to the employee group, to do the activities on whatever they want to collaborate. And in addition to that, we're also pretty active to work together with the local government, including in Hong Kong and also in mainland China, to support them on the trainings or summit to the enterprises in the society, because we really want to not only to be good internally in PwC, we also want to give the impact to the society. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And it's so great to hear this kind of deliberate ideas. It's not just an aspiration. You've made it real by really some very deliberate strategies that you measure. And also, it's not just about measurement, it's also about helping and supporting people to meet those targets. So thank you. That's very interesting. And Ria, turning to you from She Loves Tech, as I mentioned in the introduction, that there are so many opportunities for women in the tech world and also so many barriers. So tell us what you're doing around this.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ria, the co-founder of She Loves Tech. And answering this question, at She Loves Tech, we are solving what we believe is the greatest challenge facing women tech entrepreneurs globally, and that is funding. So in 2015, we decided to run the first ever startup competition to showcase groundbreaking technology solutions built by women. And since then, we have gone from that one country to now 76 countries globally. We run this program in 6 continents, and we've had over 15,000 startups come through our doors. Of course, we don't want to stop there. When we started, a lot of these founders were experiencing a lot of difficulties. They were constantly being overlooked despite the innovative technologies they were building. And the most common thing I heard when we first started was investors telling me to my face that they didn't want to invest in women, or that women were only good at building beauty and fashion businesses, not technology. So we set out to prove them wrong, and since then we've gone a long way, right? Right now, investors are coming to us with a new problem. They're like, okay, we want to invest in women, but there's not enough women. There's a pipeline problem. But that's a common misconception. Again, we've gone a long way, and there is still a gap, but in every 10 male founders, there's actually 7 female founders. So the gap is much smaller than you think. And at the She Loves Tech competition, year on year, we see an average of like maybe 15% increase of first-time female founders every year. That's a lot of female founders. And if you are all also familiar with the data, in the last couple of years, we've had groundbreaking new unicorns built by women, and also unicorns exited, going public, right? All built by women. So there's a lot of progress when it comes to women tech entrepreneurs. But the problem is, when we started in 2015 until now, we still have 2% of global venture capital funding going to women. So the needle hasn't moved very much. In 2020, our collective team at She Loves Tech decided to commit to catalyzing over $1 billion worth of capital for female founders. And to date, we've managed to achieve 400 million for our winners. But we don't want to stop there. And to welcome our 10th year anniversary next year, we've just launched this past month a digital platform to house the largest pipeline of female tech founders in the world, basically to match them and allow investors to discover them, to discover the deal flow that they said were missing, right? No excuses. Finally, there's a platform for them to look for themselves. Not to mention, we're also building a new fund at She Loves Tech to provide institutional first checks to startups from Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, and other parts of Southeast Asia and South Asia to catalyze 3x with each investment that we make. At She Loves Tech this year, taking a step back, what do you all think when you think about female entrepreneurs? For me, I think about technologies that can help contamination or detect contamination in real time. I think about smart solutions for people with disability, for example, AI web browsers, right? I also think about technologies that make mining, an industry that we don't really talk about, more sustainable. These are the top 3 winners from this year's competition. And I remember speaking to one of our final judges this year, and he was just commenting, very surprised. He came to our competition for the first time, and he said, "Oh wow, like these female founders are really solving hard and difficult problems." And that's exactly what women are doing, right? Women entrepreneurs are not simply building businesses for the sake of doing so. They're solving great challenges that their communities are facing. At She Loves Tech, since 2019, we've seen that women entrepreneurs were the most, or rather, they were building a lot of healthcare startups. So healthcare has been a top vertical at She Loves Tech. That's closely followed by artificial intelligence this year and education. Another thing that's very interesting is that the last couple of years, we've seen a spike and an increase in technologies addressing women's health as well as assistive technologies. So pretty much everywhere we are, and we have startups from 107 countries, there's someone doing something in this space, and that's a rapid increase as well in these spaces. So we can see that women are really innovating in spaces that are usually overlooked and underfunded. So they're making the tough choices and building and innovating for humanity.
Thank you. There's so much of what you said there that I'd like to delve more into. So I'm sure that everyone feels the same. And of course, women are in those difficult spaces because we always are, actually. And also, women do innovate every day of their lives because often women do deal with difficult problems, So it's wonderful to see that converting into successful businesses. It's fantastic. So I'm just going to stay in the tech area, IE, and passing to you. One of the things that we spoke about yesterday was this gender responsive procurement. Mm-hmm. And I think we do need a lot of innovation in that space to catch women up and for women to be able to have a good share of the market there. I know that Infosys has been doing some work on this and that you have. Would you like to tell people more about that?
Sure, thanks, Susan. Good morning, everyone. Very excited to be with this teamed lady panel, women panel. So I'm just going to talk about Infosys, and I'm really very proud to represent our organization in this forum. Infosys has a very holistic focus on ESG. So we have an ESG vision 2030, which is aligned to the sustainable goals of 2030. And there is a focused approach on each letter. For example, in environment, Infosys has been carbon neutral for the past 4 years. On governance, we have been regarded as one of the most ethical companies in the world. So I think those two represents or manifest the seriousness of focus in those two areas. Now, when it comes to the S, there's also a very holistic focus on DEI. And while there is a focus on women, there's equal focus on making sure that the diversity is not only on gender, but the diversity is also focused on the other gender, on other diversity that was mentioned a while back. So diversity of thoughts, diversity of client portfolios, diversity of suppliers, investors, and so on and so forth. Now, when it comes to our focused area, we have 4 drivers that we follow. Yeah. So first one is governance. So it's all about making sure that we have goals set. There is proper reporting. It gets reported to the public. It's in our website. It gets reported to the employees. It's part of our town hall conversations. It's reported to all of our clients. It's part of our capability conversations. And everyone takes it as part of our scorecard, right? That's in the governance area. The second part is there is a lot of focus on learning, right? And when I talk about learning, this is not just only focused on women, because we understand that if we want to make the women agenda flourish, the men needs to be part of it. So aside from, example, having a I Am the Future program, this is a targeted women development program with Stanford. We also have a very strong allyship program where all men also participate, so that the conversation on equality does not reside only with women, but the entire organization talks about it. Now, there's also discussion around culture, right? Culture building, and it needs to start and weaved into the entire end-to-end life cycle of the employees. Now, people need to feel safe. There is a big program that started in 1999 on making sure that we have a safe workplace. We have a very strong anti-sexual harassment policy and initiative that goes global, and we talk freely to our employees how to ensure that they have a safe workplace, and if in case they feel even the smallest form of harassment, that they can freely report it. We have a very, big redressal board that is managing anonymity of all of the reports, right? Another culture aspect is the sense of belongingness. So we are driving focused programs, culture talks, to make sure that everybody feels that they are part of the organization, that they belong. So in the Philippines, for example, we did not call it DEI, but we called it DEB, because I is the initiative, B is the feeling, belongingness. So we want everybody to feel they belong and they feel safe to come to the office bringing their own unique self, right? So that's the focus. There's also a lot of focus on meritocracy, right? I think it's important that our promotions, our programs are genderless and blind, right? So there is a constant focus on making sure that the focus is performance-driven, that the performance management cycle or process in the entire end-to-end life cycle of the employee is genderless and fair. So there is a very big program also that goes around that. The third one is the opportunity, and this is where the procurement process also come into play, because this is very aligned to the purpose of Infosys. Enabling community, businesses, and people. And part of our commitment on opportunity is a very fair supply chain, which talks about also our focus on making sure that we are conscious in following one of the WEPs, in identifying partners that also have the same advocacy as us, partners that have a focus on women, indigenous tribes, making sure that they all have an opportunity also to progress, and it's not concentrated. And I just learned today, I'm not even familiar, that Infosys is now working with UN Women in India, building a solid, a database of all women entrepreneurs and businesses so that it can be used to track. And I'm also going to explore to see how we can replicate the same in the Philippines. So there's a very big focus, not just about women. Women is very important, but I think at the end of the day, the WEPs principles, the sustainability goals, the ESG needs to form part of a larger ecosystem to drive equity and equality within the organization. So women, yes, at the forefront, but let's not forget the other components to make sure that it is a really equal world.
Thank you very much. And I think, it's similar to PwC also in that you've had this very specific focus and investment. Your companies are spending money on making sure that people from different, lives can be part of this. And there's a business case for that as well as a rights case.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to you, Nusra, just to focus again a little bit more on this procurement issue, because I know you've been doing that in Unilever and now in Mars, and I think that we really need to unlock the potential for women in supply chains, and it's hard to do. So tell us your experience.
Thank you. Sawadika. That's how we say good morning in Thai. So I'm Nusra from Mars Global, but I'm based out of Bangkok, Thailand. Today I'll share two aspects. One from Unilever, my previous company, and also what we are doing in Mars as my new company. In Unilever, we strongly believe that it's our job to build a more equitable and inclusive society. As a big company, you can imagine how many millions and millions of families and that the families members that we can help. So Unilever back in 2020, they launched the commitment that we want to spend 2 billion euros into those underrepresented group of business. This means the business that owned by women, by LGBTQI+, by disabilities, and by ethnic groups. And how can we do so? So the idea is to launch this supplier diversity program, which is according to gender responsive procurement principle. We want to award more business to them. We need to ensure that where is applicable, we will include those diverse suppliers in the tender, so that we make sure that we give more and more opportunity to them. That's the first one. Secondly, we also launched together with our alliance in Thailand, so UN Women included, but also Google and some of the national bank, to launch the training programs for those diverse suppliers, including women-owned business, to be equipped with future fit skills to survive in the business environment. Either it's the digital skills, financial skills, and also the other skills that is needed for them in order to compete in this day's environment. Last but not least, what about the suppliers, the big companies that they cannot change their board members, that they cannot change their CEO? What we did is that we launched the program as the education program for them to create awareness of gender responsive society, so that they can pay attention more in their workplace about gender equality and also the promotion of women in their workplace. That's what we did in Unilever. And after 3 years of the programs, we have doubled the spending. We start with a very small base, like 5% of our spending. It was with diverse suppliers. After 3 years, we have doubled that to be 10%. So I think it's one of the biggest achievements in my career, of my 20 careers that I'm proud of. And that's from Unilever. So now I move to Mars. As you know, Mars is one of the biggest family business in the world. We have more than 45 billion euros revenue each year. And at Mars, we strongly believe that we can also create a supply chain that is benefit not only to the to the business, but also to the society as well. We have three prolonged approach. One is healthy planets through sustainability. The second one is nourishing well-being, and last one is thriving people. So my new role is double hat as a global sourcing director, and to lead thriving people pillar as well. What do we mean by thriving people? We want to ensure that we improve at least 1 million life globally by the certain time frame. How to improve their life? The first one is through more income, living wage. The second one, we want to address forced labor and child labor in the supply chain, in the value chain, either is second tier or even the third tier suppliers. Last but not least, one of the most important is to unlock opportunity for women who is in our value chain. And like you guys mentioned, it's not only in the workplace, it's not only in the marketplace, but also in the suppliers communities as well. So we are now building the roadmap towards this pillar, and gender responsive procurement is one of the key programs in this ambition as well. So I'll keep you posted, and I strongly believe that we can find some alliance to work together in order to make it successful. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that it's very interesting you've been sort of flexible in how you're thinking about women in supply chains. It's not just women-owned companies, but it's incentivizing companies to provide better jobs for women and women in leadership. And so I think that that's another really important aspect of gender responsive procurement. So we only have a few minutes left, but we still have another round of questions. So, and this round, I'd really like to get all of you to think about, in your firms, what can you do to unlock gender equality in the broader private sector space? So really looking at collective action here. And you started to talk about this, IE, so maybe I'll go to you, and Anna will come to you at the end just to kind of wrap up. So just in 2 minutes, maybe you can give a flavour to the audience of more of this collective work.
Sure. So in Infosys, I'm part of the Global Leadership Council, and I'm also the one leading the DEI Council for the entire Asia Pacific region. And so the work is not just in the Philippines, but it also encompasses Asia Pacific. There's a big focus on leadership development, on women, and making sure also that even the other sectors, the underrepresented, persons with disability, and LGBTQ+, is given also a space. Now, in the Philippines, I am a board of director of various organizations in the country, particularly in the IT-BPM space. So in IT-BPM, part of our Roadmap 2028 that we launched last year is a very big ESG agenda. So in the social, there is a big focus on DEI. And, just background, when I got elected as a board of director in IT-BPM and the picture was posted, I felt really bad because I was the sole woman in that picture of the board. So that actually made me think, this is not good, right? So women is very underrepresented. But I should not stop there. I should not stop feeling bad. I have to do something. So I convened, and together with colleague Celeste, we convened and founded the Women in Action at IT-BPM. It's the official IT-BPM Women Network, where there is a big focus on leadership development, not only leadership at the company, but we want to see more women go up at the board level, country level. So there is a very big focus on that. And we're not experts, so we have started to partner, with experts. So, we're working with, UN Women Philippines through Ms. Lenlen Messina. We partnered, with, as an organization with PBCWE. We're working also with other organizations like FCC, Filipina CEO Circle, where the big focus is really helping women break the glass ceiling through coaching and mentorship. So a lot of that is happening outside of the office space. And I think that's really one call to action, for us leaders. We need to go beyond the walls of our office to make the movement really a movement.
Thank you. Ria, I know you're also doing quite a lot of this, and you began to speak about it earlier.
I think when we talk about corporates and startups, there's definitely a lot that we can do together. But maybe I can zoom in on the topic of corporate innovation. Earlier, we heard about the fact that consumer spending is being driven by 75% women, right? And many industries are truly, I think many companies are surprised to know that a lot of if they don't really measure the data, that actually a lot of their end users or their consumers are women. And so when you think about that, it's only natural to want to either work with women-led technologies, right, to do your corporate innovation, or partner with them, whether as suppliers or procurement and across your supply chain. And with She Loves Tech, when we look at the data as well, we found that a lot of the women founders, not regardless of their gender or irregardless of their gender, they are serving, over 80% of them are serving significant female end users, right? So this means that when women build businesses, they're serving women as well. They're building and designing products with women in mind. So when you think about wanting to serve your customers and wanting to innovate with them, wanting to customize solutions for them, it's only natural to also include that women's perspective, right? And tap into that unique insights that are inherent to them. Another interesting thing is that when we looked at our own data, we noticed that a lot of the women founders are also building diverse teams, right? So they're building teams with diversity in mind. So over 70% of our founders have diverse founding teams, right? And of course, we all know what diversity means, right? It brings better returns, better innovation. It's better for business overall. So when we think about the onus to invest in women, to work with women on a corporate level, it's not just about a charity or moral impetus, right? It's also about strategic business decisions. One example I can give is, at She Loves Tech, we don't just work with investors, we also work with corporates, right? And originally I wanted to invite one of our partners to this event because I thought that they would be perfect to share insights to everyone, but they can't come, so I'll share it to you instead. So if everyone is familiar with Hong Kong, I'm sure you've rode the MTR, right? So it's the Metro Transit rail system, officially of Hong Kong. And many of you may, if you are following metro kind of industry news and such, actually a lot of them are not profitable. They need to be subsidized by the government. But Hong Kong MTR is the only MTR company in the world that is actually profitable, right? And they have a very strong and core strategy around ESG. That's the first thing, right? So they are, their ESG strategy goes across and cuts across all the different departments and all the different things that they do. And in particular, they have a strong innovation, let's say, objective, right? So they have what you call MTR Lab, which is their corporate venture capital fund, which invests in startups. They also have their corporate innovation arm, which seeks to pilot technologies, especially sustainable technologies that can make travel and transport more sustainable and more accessible to ensure that everyone can benefit from public transport. They also have a new retail arm called Louder, for example, which is, I think, very unique. If you find yourself in Hong Kong and see Louder, it's a lifestyle concept store, and all the products in store are actually from founders, right? And homegrown, as well as those that are in Hong Kong. And we have been working with them to really source technologies because they see gender as not only something for good, but also something that is untapped, right? They see that if they want to look at more innovations, more technologies, they need to look at half the world's population, right? Half of their customers, or even more, are probably women. So that is one thing that we're doing with them. And so far, they are piloting two of our technologies. So one is actually a technology which allows blind people to basically navigate, right, and walk and find directions. Another is clean technologies, which help with renewable energy within the transport station. So there's many opportunities for various corporates, and I can talk all day, I think, but we don't have that.
So interesting. Thank you very much. Nusra, over to you.
I think I would like to give two points. The first one, gender responsive procurement, even it's procurement, but it should be the company program. Otherwise, it's very, very difficult to drive. But if it's a company program, so you get all cross-function commitment. That's the first one. Secondly, one of the most difficulty when I launched the diverse suppliers program in Unilever was to build a database. So what we did is to call each of the suppliers manually to ask if they're owned by women, if their CEO or CFO are women or not, and if we have more than 1,200 suppliers in our ecosystem. So it's very high time and resource consuming. So imagine, hearing us all today, imagine if we can have a cross-industry common database of women-owned or those underrepresented group own business that we, the big company, can access with to give them more business, to give them more opportunity. That will be very key driver to success for us already. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's exactly what we're doing with Infosys in India. So hopefully we can build on that as well. So Josine, over to you. PwC plays such a key role with so many firms.
Yeah, actually, when we consider the diversity mindset, actually we figure out in mainland, especially in mainland China, a lot of the local companies, they don't really have this kind of a concept of diversity and inclusion. So we're thinking how to increase the awareness of this inclusion and diversity mindset in China, in mainland China. So we go back to revisit our procurement procedures and policies. And we made an amendment on our policy to ensure that every suppliers, when they come to us for the bidding or to provide services or products, they need to provide their diversity policy to us, or their companies, whether they have the diversity policies and what kind of policy they have. And actually, very interesting, a lot of us small local companies, they have no idea what the diversity means. So if they want to come to us for the bidding, and they need to start to do the research to understand what diversity means. And they started to, I think this is the start. It's a journey of them to start to understand what, to have the awareness of the diversity and to start to build a policy internally in their companies. And also because we know that they're not really have a lot of experience on the diversity, so we have a lot of training, internal training webinar about the gender equality and also people with a disability and also LGBTQ. So we invite our vendors to join us, to join our webinars, to give the training for them, because a lot of the local companies, they don't have this budget for this. So we invite them to join our training to understand how to implement, why this is important, how to implement. And for the other in Hong Kong, as we mentioned, we have the Pink Friday, but not only in Hong Kong. Actually, we have the Pink Friday across PwC, mainland China and Hong Kong. But actually in Hong Kong, we not only celebrate internally, we also invite our clients in Hong Kong to celebrate together with us. We also have a half-day webinar to celebrate Pink Friday and then talk a lot about LGBTQ, the diversity, and how to give the equal opportunity to them. So we invite the people from our client side to join us to have a speech, and also we invite PwC outside China, the other territory, to join us virtually to celebrate the Pink Friday. So.
Thank you. And so there's those three prongs, isn't it? It's sort of incentivizing through the tender process itself. And it's also awareness, creating an ecosystem where people feel safe. And it's also building capacity so that people can move into your supply chain. Yeah. Thank you. So, Anna, you've heard so many different things that connect to your first overarching comments. What are your reflections?
I'm impressed. First of all, I find it very insightful to hear from each of you how you have taken these agendas to action. not just talking about it, but giving us very concrete examples on how you have actioned this. And I just want to mention a few things of what I think we all can do to make this agenda and implement the WEPs more deeply. One is to commit to diversity, but not only diversity, we heard inclusion and belonging. We need to be courageous to challenge the status quo and stand up for those that are not there and empowered. Third, we need to be cognizant of bias. We're all biased in some way or another based on our backgrounds, but it's up to us to decide that that first thought of bias is not the second thought and it's not our first course of action. That we actually take a step back and say, this is not me, I know I'm biased, but I'm not actioning that bias. I'm taking a step back to think about it. Fourth, we need to be curious and very open-minded and good listeners. Good listeners to understand exactly what women need and want and other diverse groups that need our support. Fifth, we need to be culturally intelligent, and we heard that earlier, building a culture of awareness. And we need to be collaborative, and we heard that also from the introduction of yesterday's conversation. So I think these are my main recommendations on how we can move this forward.
Thank you very much. It's one of the reasons I love working in the region, is this incredible diversity and experience and opportunities as well. But before we wind up, we're going to do another Menti quick quiz. And that really is asking you all, what do you think is the one major thing that will move the needle, close the gaps, and move us on into better economic empowerment for women and girls? So I think that there's a QR code coming up. Pardon? Oh. We have, okay, so how can people access Menti? Oh, okay. Thank you, tech people. I'm outed as being pathetic in tech. Okay, menti.com.
To access the survey, you can just head to www.menti.com and use the code 79735930.
Thank you. Oh, okay, great. So we're getting the responses up there. Okay. Education awareness, funding, leadership, managing unconscious bias. Motherhood's in there. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Supplier diversity, 41 responses. Marketing also. Changing norms. Okay. So I think that a number of these things we touched on, definitely. And, you know, this issue of leadership continues to be in here no matter how many responses are on there. And I think it's so true in my own experience. If your leader at the very top and all throughout is talking about some particular thing, it really incentivizes everyone. Without that, and I think that you also spoke about this, without that, you're really sort of unable to really leverage the opportunities to the full extent. So again, with that, I'd really like to thank all of the panel. Was fantastic, really interesting, and every one of you, I think I would have loved to have just talked to you all day. So I hope that everyone gets a chance to talk further in the breaks with the panel as well. Thank you so much for coming and for being part of the panel. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's give them a big